awkward moment where we wait to make sure we're going live on YouTube, and it appears that we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is season 2, episode 34, and we have Thomas and Alexandre here from Mango 3D, or a lot of you know them as Lychee Slicer. Guys, introduce yourselves, tell everybody all the good stuff about you.
Okay, thank you very much, Grant, for having us for this stream. First of all, I'm Thomas. I'm the CEO of Mango 3D. Then we are the developer of Lychee Slicer. Then I think we will talk about 3D printing, which is, of course, our job, but at least for me, but I know for Alexander as well, our passion. We really love that, and I think we'll discuss a lot about 3D printing today. Alexander.
Okay, and for me, Alexander, so I am the technical manager and support manager of Lychee Slicer and at Mango 3D, and I am a 3D artist at first, so that's how I met Thomas when he was working on ZBrush, and now I'm switching to 3D printing and technical support.
Yeah. Just to add something, at Mango 3D, of course, some people have a very specific task to do, but a lot of us also are doing multiple things. It's always like that in small companies. And yeah, Alexander's doing technical support. He's working on development of software, not as a developer, but bringing his ideas and opinions and things like that, helping the marketing team, etc. The same for me, in fact.
And if it wasn't immediately clear, you guys are not in the United States. Where are you both located right now?
We are the biggest part of the company is in Belgium, in Liège, which is a French part of Belgium. Alexander is in France, east side of France, and the other part of the team is in Bordeaux, west side of France. Then we are in these two countries right now. And by the way, I see that Julian is in the chat right now. Julian is our CTO, but also the creator of Lychee Slicer. And, hey, Julian.
That's the nice thing about having a small team. When they're in the chat and hanging out, it's pretty easy to note them and just call them out. We had James von Kessel on last week. He's one of the developers with Ultimaker Cura, and his entire team was in the chat just giving him crap the entire time. It was hilarious for me, because normally it's my team making fun of me, but to see that it's not just my team that makes fun of people is pretty great. But yeah, you guys have, I guess for a lot of us, come out of absolute nowhere and taken the resin 3D printing industry by storm, to the fact that my intro video, when I looked at Lychee Slicer for the first time, I had never touched it. Maybe I'd used it once or twice, but I've never had a lot of experience with it. And I don't use anything else anymore. I don't use anything. And for full disclosure, I do have a pro account that was provided to me, but otherwise there's no money or anything like that exchanging hands here. These guys are donating their time late at night, real late. It's like 10 p.m. for you all, right?
Yep.
Yeah. To come in, talk about it. But
10 p.m. is the beginning of the day for us, in fact. In fact, our days never stop. That's the problem.
Based on when our team gets active too, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Everyone's night owls, so we're all up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's just like, all right, just the time when the work gets done. Hey, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was it like kind of developing this idea of challenging the status quo of resin slicers, so specifically for the MSLA market? What was that like? I mean, did you have an idea that this was going to succeed as well as it has?
I will answer in another way, in fact, because let me just tell you a little bit of the story of Mango 3D.
Please.
It will be easier, perhaps, to understand, in fact, why we're here right now. The company started in 2018. Then it's not that now. I mean, it's already 4 years from now, and it started originally to do a mix of motherboard for 3D printers, and the operating system, and of course the slicer. And in fact, like one of our main competitor is doing, providing motherboard for 3D printers and also doing the slicer. Then it was the same kind of business. And until Lychee Slicer 2, it was a different business model, but the software was already available, but not very popular. And with version 3 that we released during the summer 2020, then almost 2 years from now, we changed our business model. Then we switched from lifetime licenses to subscription, which was not something that a lot of people, let's say, appreciate. But when we explain why, people understand why, because just we need to pay the bill each month, salaries and things like that. And also because our development is more constant. Anyway, this is another topic. But the thing is, the software originally was a creation from Julian, then who is in the chat, like I said. And in fact, he started to build his own printer, which is a Mocha. And we need to share some photo of his printer. And he designed his own printer, which was, in fact, before you had just a touchscreen on a regular MSLA printer. It was before the Photon and the Mars, then way before, which was the same type of formats with some pretty nice ideas. Then Julian is really a creator, loving doing development, but also electronics and all of that. And then he met someone else, which name was Nicolas at the time, and said, your product is great, let's do a company. Because this guy also was selling 3D printers, and Julian was doing great things. Julian was coming from an existing 3D printer company, which is a French one, not really working successfully well, but and then it just working like that. And then, yes, Lychee Slicer 3 was a different version with a different vision, obviously, but it didn't start with Lychee Slicer 3. Okay, we took the market by storm. We were already here before, but not really visible. We changed our business model, we changed our marketing, we changed the way of working. And yes, we are here now.
I guess from my perspective, it just fell into the market and immediately performed well. So that is distinctly not the case. You guys had a lot of procedural changes to it before it really caught hold. What do you think created that initial jump to now where it's considered one of the best, if not the best, resin 3D printer slicers on the market?
The lack of support for other printers and the lack of consistency in other slicers. Personally, I jumped into Lychee when it was version 3, and I started using it for my own design studio. And I loved it, and it was a solid part of my business to run my printers, coming from 2 printers and having really nice results with Chinese and entry-level printers. It was great.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
I thought you were done. Sorry.
No,
yeah, just to add something, because I was not originally part of the company. I joined this company then 2 years ago, and it was a decision at that time to have a vision, let's say more an artist vision of the software. I joined as a marketing director of the company before being CEO, just for your information.
Got it.
And like I told you before starting the stream, I was working in a company which was Pixologic, the creator of ZBrush. Then I have a strong background, even as an artist myself. And we wanted to create, in fact, to change Lychee Slicer to be a software more for, let's say, humans, users, something which is, designed by people who use the software and who have a goal with this software. Sorry, it maybe sound weird, but some software are designed for a specific purpose, let's say for a business purpose. We really like in-house doing 3D printing. And for us, even our software at some point, okay, we need to change because it's not even enough visible that we are doing a software for, let's say, real users. And this version 3, we had to rewrite a lot of things to make that, let's say, a more mature software. And even now, we are still doing improvement because it takes time. we have a feature, a to-do list of feature requests which is like that. And
Probably
even
gets larger
ourselves,
every day.
yeah, because even ourselves, you can, sorry, Julian, can't really reply in the chat, but so many times, yeah, it would be great or something like that. Can you do something like that? Asking the people of the team, is it possible? And because, like I said, we are users ourselves. I'm the first one to spend hours in Lychee Slicer to prepare, to do 3D prints, whatever it's my model, other people's, and things like that. And because we are users, we understand, of course, better than anyone else what the user need on their daily basis to do 3D prints.
That's an important distinction to me, that not only are you all producing software for the 3D printing industry, you yourselves are the users too. So you're able to do a lot of the, let's make sure it's okay before we go into the private beta. And for those that are here that don't know, there's a whole Discord. I have it linked in the description. So if you are wanting to be more involved with the community surrounding Lychee Slicer, they have a whole Discord. It's completely free to join. There's thousands of people in there that are active. It is one of the most active communities that I've ever seen. And these guys, along with the rest of the team, are constantly in there working with people. And that is something that is so uncommon. And it's something that I believe sets you all apart from anybody else in this industry that's doing software right now. Is not just the quality of the software itself, but the quality of the support that comes with it. That is really hard to find.
We are really community driven. This is something which is very important for most of the people in the company. Of course, not everyone is involved the same way in the software. Right. Let's say the admin people are the same involvement, I would say. But yeah, it's very important for us because, like I said, we are doing a software, let's say, for humans, for people who use the software, or people who have also, let's say, production needs, because more and more people are doing business around 3D printing. Let's say who switch from the, let's say, just a pure hobby to being now at the head of patrons with, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 now of supporters, and all this business for pre-supporting, even you, Grant. I mean, you are doing business with 3D printings and all of that. And of course, if we don't discuss with people, we don't understand what are their needs, or just also spending some good time with them, doing what they're doing. I mean, it's difficult to do a software which would fit what they're looking for, which is quite important. And to add something, just to jump about, to go back to what you spoke about, the communities and all of that, and using the software. We have something what we call the let's say creative Friday at Mongo 3D. Friday afternoon, except when we are, let's say, in crunch time, we don't really work. We have this afternoon just to work on creative projects, whatever it's doing something for 3D printing, or even if it's not, let's say, really a creative project with 3D printers, can be something else. As soon as it's creative, it can be learning a software. Okay, I want to learn Blender, or let's say doing CNC, or doing laser engravement, doing all of that. Because, I mean, we can't do a great software for creative people if we are not, let's say, creative ourselves. Then that's why we take this time, which I would say costs money for a company. But for us, it's not really spending money because it's a benefit for the software, a benefit for the users and the community.
This is the second time in 2 weeks where I've had a company that is primarily surrounding software say, yeah, once a week we just kind of don't do work for some of the day and we make cool stuff. And the company allows us to do this. That is awesome. I know we had a few staff members like, so when are we going to do this at 3D Musketeers? I said, when you guys are hired full-time, because we don't have any full-time staff members right now. We are still kind of small on the hardware side of things, but it is interesting to see that because clearly it is showing on the employee morale. You guys have a pretty strong team, and in fact, you're hiring. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I am a little curious. Everything regarding the company is surrounding fruits, right? From Mango 3D to Lychee Slicer. 1, why fruits? 2, why the lychee?
The story is, it's always very difficult to find a name. To be honest, finding a company name finding, I don't even speak about finding a domain name,
Yeah,
which is available.
Yeah, that's tough too. You have to be like real quiet about the company names, so you make sure you can have the domains, and then the social medias.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real nightmare. No, it's not something, let's say, extraordinary. It's because it was at the time when the Raspberry Pi become more and more popular. We were looking for electronic stuff for the motherboards, the printers, and all of that, and say, yeah, fruit is nice, it's fresh, and yeah, 3D printing is not that fresh at the time. It was. Then yeah, a fruit is nice, and we are looking to exotic fruit, and yeah, lychee is fun, and mango are fun. It's colorful fruits, just like that. There is no real other reason for that. We could have called that mango slicer, and in fact, we had mango slicer before we did OEM, a white label version of Lychee Slicer. Some company like Wanao had a version of Lychee Slicer. Internally, it was mango slicer. Then we have mango slicer, lychee slicer. Lychee slicer has been designed to be, let's say, the commercial product of the company for everyone, while mango slicer was more the white label version of the slicer.
I like it. It makes sense. I am seeing a question from the chat right now. When are you going to buy the Belgium office a CO2 laser engraver?
Well, no, for the little story, they already have a laser engraver, but a diode one, which is not very nice.
No, diodes are bad.
Yeah, well, in fact, I have some of them right next to me. Start to be more interesting now. But the thing is, I have a CO2 laser, a 50 watt there. I think, Alexandre, you have a 80 watt laser one.
I have an 80 as well.
That's it.
Yeah. And Julian, the last time he came, say, I want one. Say, okay, the problem is just to be able to purchase one. In fact, Julian tried twice to purchase a CO2 laser, and each time it has been refunded after several times. Sorry? Same for you?
Yeah, same for me. Last summer, it was difficult to purchase one, and I spent 2 months waiting for mine. So yeah.
Yeah. Then no, it's. I mean, as soon as we can, yes, he will have his laser engraver, his CO2 one.
Julian, I know you have my Discord. DM me. I'll send you some company recommendations. Yeah, I had to. You know, it's part of the fun team thing, and I know I've struggled with it. I know Clayton, Uncle Jesse has struggled with it as well. Lychee or lychee? We need to answer this once and for all. How do we pronounce it?
The official answer, I would say, is lychee, which is a French pronunciation, but we really don't care. In fact, what is more important for us is to say lychee slicer and not just lychee. People tend to say, which is expected, say just lychee.
I told you so.
Alexandre did call me out. He's like, so I need you to change the thumbnail, and if you could change the photos on all the socials, that'd be great. And I'm like, ooh, I can't do it on the socials, but I'll change the thumbnail. And I was about 4 hours away when he sent me that. So I'm like messaging the team, hey, I need you to do this and just update the YouTube for me.
It's not, I mean, it's not a big deal because we know that people are looking for lychee, saying lychee or lychee, whatever pronunciation. The thing is, when you type lychee or lychee on Google, you find a lot of stuff about the fruit itself, but not the slicer. Then that's why combining both is, of course, better. But it's not a big deal.
It's part of the branding too, right? It is absolutely part of the branding. And we got Fotis Mint in the chat, probably one of my favorite creators on the resin side of things, because he works with Charo Zuck, who is really, really good at the custom supports inside of Lychee Slicer. So the models that I can download by being a patron of Fotis's, right onto the printer, no BS, click print, and they work. And that is just, oh, it's so great. It makes the process that is resin 3D printing, one of the harder things is getting the model set up, considerably easier. And you guys have made some major changes to the software, particularly on the Magic Wand tool, which was something that I used to run Formlabs printers, right? Magic Wand tool was great. Click it and ignore everything else, and it would just do it right. Previously, the Magic Wand tool was not my favorite. I actually told people, hey, kind of avoid it. It doesn't really know what it's doing just yet. It's still learning. But now the latest version is really good. And I like this because you're trying to basically present resin 3D printing the way that it should be, where it's easy to use from the consumer side. How has that affected the feature list, where you really want this really cool big feature, but it requires all these little ones to get there? So how has that affected the feature list?
It's a very difficult question. Sorry, for multiple reasons. The first thing is we have, let's say, a long-term project. Let's say for Lychee Slicer, we have a direction that we want to go. But at the same time, of course, we need to do this development. You will see that 2022 will be a quite interesting year for Lychee Slicer. I can't speak more about that, but we have some nice stuff in progress. But at the same time, you know, sometimes we just say, oh, I have this thing and this problem, and we discuss together, just with Julian, sometimes at night. And the next morning, Julian just did the feature. It was not in the pipe. It was not decided, but we have a nice feature. Or just someone in the team discuss, let's say, with a patron or a creator or someone in the chat, and yeah, that's a good idea. And then we change, let's say, our direction. Then it's very difficult to do that, because sometimes, yeah, but we need to stop to do something like that, because yes, we need to do this long-term development. Some development are, let's say, quick to do, because sometimes it's just tweaking some stuff in the, let's say, the UI, or combining some tools, and you have a new tool.
Yep.
But sometimes it's really a genius idea. We really want to do it, but it may be, I don't know, a month of development. Then are we pushing our agenda for something else or not? And it's always, in fact, doing some juggling.
Juggling. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, juggling. Yeah, juggling. Yeah, between ideas, what we want to do, what we can change in our agenda or not. See also what competition can do, or community change, or just something that we have new printers which just arrive in the market. We are not even aware of that, and we know it will be available soon. Then we need to support the new file format. It's a constant, let's say, pain. Sorry, but to decide what, because we want to do all sorts of things, and we have to fight against ourselves and to respect, let's say, our schedules and all of that.
I mean, I've seen it myself, right? When new printers come out onto the market with different file formats, before the printers are even shipping, I'm watching your Discord. Hey, are you going to support this? Hey, are you going to support this? Hey, how about we let the printer hit the market first, and then, you know, when they can get the printer, then they can look at supporting it. It blows my mind sometimes. People are like, well, I'm not going to buy the printer. I'm like, they're going to support it eventually, right? Like, hey, come on. And also, why can't 3D printer companies just agree on one freaking file format? Right? That's really the problem. Is why must we have 15 different file formats? Let's agree to one. They're all MSLA printers for the most part. At the end of the day, why can't they just use the same damn file format? Seriously.
That is it's something we discussed. So making universal file format and sharing it with the community. The nice thing is, a few months back, we had to contact the developers and the manufacturers to have the info. Now they come to us, and we have a direct contact with them to validate the profiles and have all the info in advance. So yeah, it's going better and better with time.
That's kind of the dream, though, right? Where you are not having to hunt the companies down. Instead, they're saying, hey, we're launching a new printer soon. It's this file format. We're sorry, but can you work on supporting it? That'd be great. Because I think that most companies at this point know, if you're buying a Resin 3D printer that is under $4,000, so if it's not a Formlabs and you're not running Lychee Slicer, it's maybe because you don't know it.
Probably.
And the fact that it integrates directly with UV tools is even better, where you guys are supporting other community projects. That's something that I've always enjoyed to see, is that there is ability to customize the program any way that you need, including exporting directly into other softwares.
Yeah. just to go back, but sorry, just to about the file formats and all of that. Yeah, it has been very difficult for us to support some printers because we had no contact at all with the manufacturer. The only contact sometimes we had with some of them was just, let's say, marketing contact. The fun fact is on my free time, when I can find some free time, I also run, exactly. I'm running a YouTube channel, and I mean, I guess like you, I'm contacted by manufacturer. Oh, I have this new printer. Do you want to test and doing an unboxing and stuff like that? Then for me as a YouTuber, it's easy to have a contact with this company. But as a CEO of a slicer, which is quite popular, it's almost impossible. It's been only this last week, this week, in fact, that we have been able to have official contact with all the manufacturer.
That is, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, that is hilarious to me that as a YouTuber, you are able to get better contacts than you are as a pretty substantial slicer manufacturer. So maybe that's the secret then, is to become a big YouTuber. And your channel is, you're a French reviewer, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And we talked about this before, but all the printers behind you are not with Mango. Those are yours personally, right?
Yeah, just one, in fact. The Mega 8K is Mango 3D, but I have printers. Sorry, I can't really turn the camera, but I have something like 15 printers more next to me on the other office at home and all of that. Yeah, exactly. And you can't, I mean, you can't imagine how many printers I refuse because I don't have the time. I'm doing also FDM, and I'm doing also tutorials and creative content when I have the time, because review is fun, but I prefer doing creative stuff, I would say.
Same.
But yeah, it's yeah, exactly. But people asking me, oh, what do you think about this printer? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have it. But at the same time, now it's good because we're able to test the printers in-house, because a lot of printers, which is also very challenging for us. And we are very happy to have this contact with the community, because Alexandre especially is exchanging with people who have access to some printers early. We don't have access to all the printers. When you see how many printers are released each month now, I mean, it's this competition to have more and more printers, better resolution, or just the name is changed by another one, and doing this accessory, it's a new one, or we just change the design or stuff like that. There is so many printers, but each time they're changing the file formats. And we need to find some users who have the printer, sending them the file format, having them kindly testing the file format, telling us it's fine. And that's why sometimes you see some updates popping in the slicer about an update in the cloud for new printers, because we need to tweak and we don't have a direct access to the printer. That now, luckily, we have a better access to manufacturers who can test for us, but it's a lot of back and forth. We have the language barrier, which is quite important in China, I would say. It takes time, and it's really challenging.
And the community has been really wonderful, helping us and helping me, making all the profiles and validating everything and keeping everything updated. Like there is a new firmware with a tweak, with like the mirror is switching. Okay, I can fix it, and in a day it's online, and everyone has the new version. So yeah, the tool itself is great because we can, like Thomas said, we can update and follow every new firmware, every new model, every new upgrade kit or anything else. So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, and sometimes we can even push new printers without having the need to release a new version of Lychee Slicer. As an example, Frozen recently announced the Mighty 8K, and without releasing a new version of Lychee Slicer, we've been able to push the Mighty 8K. It's already available in the slicer right now. Then even if, let's say, some influencer, YouTuber, or whoever receives a printer just to test the product, they will be already to use Lychee Slicer right away, which is cool.
it is, right? And we're like 4,600 subscribers, so we're not even at the point where companies are even reaching out. And the one company that did kind of burn that relationship last week. Ultimately for me, I'm not huge on the reviews. I want to show practical use cases for 3D printing, 3D scanning, and the like. And yes, part of that does at some point include a review for a machine. But I'll tell you, we've got some cool resin content coming up, and I've avoided all the other resin slicers at this point because there's no reason to switch. And I like now that you've included this. I don't know if I should call it a cloud feature, but it is kind of the cloud feature with all the profiles where people can save their profiles to the cloud. And so if an influencer for some reason had a special profile, right, they could save it and it could be, the Uncle Jesse perfect printing profile, right? And that's really cool.
The slicer.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
And it's not only the influencers, it's the resin manufacturers too.
Yeah.
So like Seriatech contacted us and gave us all the profiles, and they can update them and they can validate the profile themselves. So any manufacturers can contact us. We give access and they are validated. They just have to like the profile they have pushed to the cloud, and it's a simple process.
I like that about what you guys do, right? Because when you look at other slicers in the resin market specifically, okay, and I'm not talking about Chi2 Box, I'm talking about Preform, I'm talking about the slicers that are used for high-end machines. These are closed source, closed resin. We don't care. We don't work with anybody else. You guys are like, hey, we'll work with whoever wants to be a part of it. And I think that's the value that is being brought to the table of why the community likes it so much. Because quite honestly, there's probably at least as many resin brands as there are printer manufacturers at this point.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And half of them are just white labels of somebody else.
Yes.
We get questions all the time. Can you review this resin? I look at it and say, the bottle looks strikingly familiar to this bottle. Yeah. I'm going to hedge a bet. It's probably going to start at 2.5 seconds. for a mono screen printer, just go 2.5 seconds. It's probably going to be fine.
A fun fact is that by default, when we provide a new profile for a 3D printer, we also provide a default resin profile, which has, let's say, parameters, exposure time, speed, which should work. It's not, like I said, we don't have access to all these printers. It's very difficult for us to provide, let's say, a profile which is the perfect one, but it works. And of course, we have statistics of profile which are popular and all of that. And the default one is always popular, but by far. And sometimes we see even profile which have, let's say, 5 seconds for a mono screen, which is way too much for, let's say, 50 microns. But we have thousands of people using these profiles. And in fact, a lot of people, if it works, it works. If it's perfect, they don't even know. They don't even know.
I'm kind of on that board of people, right? I run 2.65 second exposure on our Elegoo Saturn. Is that too much or is that too little? I don't know. The prints work, so I don't bother.
Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of factors enter in consideration when you want to define your profile. Are you printing big models, small models? Are you hollowing or not your models? What is the room temperature? Are you using very fast speed or not? Are you using an NFEP or a regular FEP? The brain of your resin, the viscosity. It's so many, and also the way you create your supports. Because if you have a lot of supports, but with very, very small size or bigger one density, it's so many factors which is quite difficult. Or even sometimes you are testing a resin, let's say taking we really like Seriatech resin at Mongo 3D.
Same.
And let's say you are picking the regular fast resin gray color. Okay, fine. 2.5 seconds on a Saturn, it's fine. But if you switch to the navy gray, which is different, it's more 3.5 seconds because this one needs to have more exposure. Then it's the same fast resin, just the color is changing and the exposure time is not the same. Then that's why we when we decided to do this feature, the most common question that we can find online is, okay, I have this resin. What are your settings? Please share your profile. The problem is, okay, my profile, let's say, is for a Mono X, and you have a Saturn. It's not the same printer. I can give you my settings, but it may work or not work, but that's the problem. Then it's a lot of combination that you have between the printer and the resin. When we launch the resin profile, the community resin system, we had internally 185,000 different profiles.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah. And we are still in the process of cleaning everything because we are doing that manually, which is a nightmare because we need to judge, ourselves if this profile is interesting or not, and so on. Then, of course, we have to develop tools to go faster. We do a big cleanup very soon because Julian, don't forget us, is especially working on that himself.
Publish the tools, please.
Yeah. But we think it's very important because so many people are discovering 3D printing. Oh, resin is great, and I want to do miniatures or design or jewelry or whatever. And I purchased this printer and I have my resin, but I don't understand these settings, because even if someone is giving you parameters, you need to understand what this parameter is doing. I mean, it's very complex. Then at least you can define your printer, you can define your resin, you see the profile, you see which one are popular or not, which one have a high validity, success rate. You can pick that, you have a high chance, a higher chance that it will work, because nothing is worse than the frustration of you start your print and you have a failed print. You need to clean your tank, you need to filter your resin, start again.
The worst. The worst is when I have to empty a vat. I hate it. I hate emptying vats because I'm going to spill resin. It's gonna get on something that I don't want. It's just, there's nothing. It's why literally, instead of having, a bunch of printers to do multiple things, I have one printer for every type of resin that we have.
Exactly.
So I never have to change the tanks. And when the FEP goes bad, I take the tank out, I set it off to the side, I put a new tank in it, and I fill it with fresh resin.
Yeah. This is the way of working. Especially when you have big printer like the Mega 8K, or if you have, I don't know, the new Jupiter or the M3 Max from.
I'm not cool enough to have those.
Yeah, it's just changing the FEP on the Mega 8K, it's almost 2 hours just to change something like that. So time to clean. Yeah.
See, it's just like at some point, I would outsource big prints like that, because taking 2 hours to change FEP, how much is a new tank? I might just buy a new tank, because it's cheaper to buy the new tank in time than it is. Like we have 2 spare Saturn tanks, we have a spare Photon Mono X tank, and I have enough Marses that I have multiple spare tanks for those. Because I have 4 right now that need to have their FEP changed. When we hit 6, I will stop. I'll take half a day to change out FEP. It is rough, to say the least. I understand.
Yeah.
A little advice. Sorry, Thomas. A little advice: if you want to purge a tank, use a big plastic syringes. It's the fastest way. You won't spill resin, and you won't have resin on the border. You just pump the resin and you put it in a glass jar or an old bottle. And the tip is so thin, nothing will really come in the syringe. So even if you have little particles, if you pump from a corner, you tilt the printer slightly, and you pump the resin, you're fine. Or you can filter the resin before it go into the jar or into the bottle. And it's the way I switch resin, or I switch trays. So I never handle a tray full of resins, never.
And the problem also that people are doing mistakes when they are manipulating their resin tank and the FEP. Let's say you just want to mix the resin before printing, that a lot of people forget to do, which is a reason of failed prints some of the time.
Because all the colorant falls to the bottom.
Yeah, the pigments falling down. And the thing is, manufacturers are providing with a printer like this plastic spatula or sometime metallic one.
Don't
which
use
is
metal
very
on FEP.
exactly. But people don't really know, then they are just scrapping like that and just screwing up things, which is another reason of failure. And this type of a spatula, which is for cooking, which is Japanese one that you can find on AliExpress for very cheap price, which is full of silicone.
Yep.
This type of thing is really nice because you can really scrap without scrapping at all. Let's say the FEP.
We use a silicone makeup brushes.
I'm more into bamboo style.
You literally use a silicone spatula. I guess if you have larger printers, that makes sense. I know Uncle Jesse uses a dollar store squeegee, like for cleaning glass windows, that you cut down with a pair of scissors, and that honestly that works pretty well too. Danny, the 3D printing tabletop, he's a 3D printing DM, did a whole video on trying out syringes, peristaltic pumps. There's a couple other things that he tried out, and he found that like you said, that the syringe is really one of the better ways to do it. Yeah, I don't change resin enough for that to matter, but yeah, it makes sense. And syringes are cheap.
Even after prints, I purge most of the resin.
Really?
I put it on the side, and I have 1, 2, 3 millimeters, and I can drag the spatula and see exactly if there is a tiny support or if there is something. I can let the printer in that state, and when I come back 1 week, 2 weeks, or even a month later, you have to brush a little the resin to mix it. No spill, no splash. You complete the resin level, and you're good to go.
How do you
it's
feel
a
about
safer
all these...
way to handle the vat and the resin for me.
I like it. That's smart. I mean, how do you feel about these autofill systems that use that use the little prongs? I thought they're pretty interesting, but man, I wish they also auto removed the resin at the end of the print, because we talked about this with Synthetic Ephemera. She does the ball joint dolls, really high-end ball joint dolls, and she likes to put mica and glitter, things that most resin printers hate. But the problem is it falls out of suspension. She uses a pump to circulate the resin throughout the print.
With mica?
Huh?
With mica in the resin?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
So she uses a peristaltic pump. It doesn't touch the resin. It's just like creating a suction in a tube. And that is what mixes the resin to keep the glitter and the mica suspended throughout the entire print. That way it's not just like glitter in the feet and the rest of the body is the raw resin. It's interesting to see how the community deals with this stuff, right?
Thomas, go.
No, good. It's fine.
For the like the Unicubic M3 or M3 lineup pump, I don't think it will work with mica, for example. But it's this example is really interesting. I tested some mixes like this, and it was the main problem. So the sedimentation and the particles falling down into the vats. So
for the refill systems and all of that, Alexandre mentioned before Formlabs printer. He had one. I don't. You still have your printer, your Formlabs printer?
No, I think I resell it.
Okay, then I still have my Form 2, which has a cartridge system and a refill system, exactly, which is working fine. I mean, this is amazing printers. This is fantastic printers, very accurate, but slow now, I would say. Yeah, expensive, obviously. Yeah, I purchased the Form 1, the Form 1 Plus, and the Form 2. Then, I spent quite some money with Formlabs, at Formlabs, sorry. And the system is working fine. But I tried other system like Unis. I don't know if you remember this company which did which is also, doing the EB/ printer, which has a system refilling with a pump like that. It's a nightmare to use. I mean, I had multiple times the pump even starting by itself, just emptying, but without a bottle, the resin tank. I mean, a lot of problem with that. Yeah, imagine the nightmare to clean all this Yeah,
You can
exactly.
cuss. It don't matter here.
Yeah. And then by experience, now I don't really like that. I also have the latest M3 Plus.
Hmm.
It's been now a month that I have it. And while I understand the need for that because bigger printers means more and more resin, like the Mega 8K, you put 2 liters of resin in the vat just to start your print. Then when you start to do print, which are 40 centimeters with the maximum
You're
height,
refilling halfway through.
you need to refill just to be sure you still have enough resin to be sure that each
Right.
time you move, lift up and down, that the resin has, you have enough resin just to take the place before printing the next layer. Then it makes sense, like say, for the Jupiter to have something like that. And I think the Jupiter system is interesting. I didn't try it, but I think it's interesting because it's just, let's say, flowing through gravity, meaning that you can just move the bottle, just turn it upside down, mixing your resin before putting it back. The problem with some system like the M3, the bottle is behind the printer. Then when your printer is next to a wall, like you see behind, sorry, this is the cleaning stuff, but
You gotta
most of printer,
reach around the damn thing. Yeah.
yeah, and the system also it's a real pump. It's not gravity. And your bottle, the cap is on the top, and then you need to do the suction of the resin through a pump. And the problem is you can't check your bottle because the sensor on top can't have resin inside. Then you need to remove before each print the sensor and a kind of tube just to suck the resin, just to mix, putting back. Then in theory, this is good to have autofill system, but I don't trust as a user. This is really my position as a user, not Mongo for it, really as a user because I'm a user first. And I prefer putting enough resin first, putting a timer or something like that to put back some resin. And another reason that I don't like refilling while printing is that it can create some layer lines.
Yep. Especially
Shifting
for
layers.
the color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes this shifting is not that much just because of difference of temperature between the resin in the tank, which is most of the time at a higher temperature because of the curing process, which is very exothermic. Producing a lot of heat. While even the bottle is next, it's not some temperature, and then you have some layer lines, and it can be a problem. Then it's always better to start as much as possible to have enough resin in your resin tank, like that. Anyway, this is my point of view.
It seems like we're all in agreement here, and it's funny because resin 3D printing has been around the longest. It was for the patent for the idea of SLA with the laser was patented in 1982, granted in 1984 to Chuck Hull, who works now at 3D Systems. And so, we're basically at 40 years for 3D printing from like when it was invented and first patented. And we're just now getting to the point where consumer grade resin printers, or I don't even want to call it consumer grade, but cheaper resin printers are on the market. And I've always been someone that says they're way too darn cheap. And it's Elegoo's fault. Elegoo did it. Because the original Anycubic Photon was like $600. And then
which was very cheap. It was very cheap at that time.
Yeah, at $600, that was nothing. And then Elegoo said, so we're going to release a printer. It's going to be $300. It's going to be the same build size. We're going to call it the Mars. And if you pre-order it, we'll give it to you for $200. I think I pre-ordered 4 of them. I got them all and I said, oh man, these are great. And I bought 3 more. So I had 7. And then their price went to $200 on Amazon. I'm like, wait a minute. You said it was going to be $300. They dropped it to $200. And then Anycubic had to follow along. Anycubic was probably real nice and happy at a $600 price point. And you guys have seen this too when you changed from your lifetime model to the subscription model, where people are going to get a little mad that, wait a minute, I now have to pay again. But the value in it is that they are supporting you. I don't see a lot of value in now resin printers being as affordable as they are, because we get people to buy them. that don't understand what they're getting themselves into, hurt themselves or poison their waterways by thinking that water washable resin can go down the drain. And as we all know, resin is toxic. So what do you think that we can do as an industry to try to solve this issue of beginners getting this and not doing their research first?
Educate.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Educate's hard because if they don't find the videos or find the education, literally, I was up in Tallahassee for a pitch competition that I was pitching to say, hey, I need some help to make 3D printing more accessible and solve the education problem. I did not place in the top 3. I was in 4th place because 3 of the 4 judges did not know what 3D printing was, and in the 3 minutes that I had to talk, I did not have enough time to explain to them the technology. And so quite literally it proved my point by losing. But it's one of those, how do we solve this problem? How do we solve, because I don't want to keep saying resin is toxic in videos. I feel like we should know this. But every couple of weeks on a Facebook group, someone's posting a photo of a chemical burn. Someone is showing themselves washing resin in a sink. And at least on Facebook, nobody seems to care. And I don't know what we could do to solve this. I know this is not much of anything to do with Lychee Slicer, but it is something that's always been on my mind of, we need to do something, but I don't know what.
No, it has linked to us. When I discuss about security, safety with users on the Discord or email on support, I have tons of emails asking us what kind of protection I need. Can I use this? Can I mix resins or things like this? So we have a big part as a software company because we are the link between the printer and the final product. So we can, like Amera Labs, for example, do articles, make videos, and simply share information on Discord and make some prevention.
I have my opinion on that. I would say a personal opinion, and an opinion also as a company.
Right.
Like said Alexandre, we as a company, I would answer first as Mango 3D. Of course, our job is to explain 3D printing and making people discovering the benefit of 3D printing. Obviously, as a business, is to, of course, having people using our software. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
Money, paying the bills and all of that. But also because we really enjoy 3D printing, we want to have more people enjoying 3D printing and changing their life. I mean, the best reward for us is when someone is telling us, oh, thanks to 3D printing, I quit my job to do my own business, and now I'm enjoying my business and I do what I want and stuff like that. For us, is one of the nicest, let's say, comment and let's say reward of all of that. Then, of course, we want to push this industry, but the problem is, of course, finding the time and resources. If we will be, let's say, a multi-billion company, perhaps one day, I hope, I think, yeah, we would like to do a kind of academy and explaining 3D printing and all of that. The problem is right now, of course, we are struggling with time, with developments, and that's why it's very difficult for the company. Then we try as much as possible to answer, of course, questions for the users. We will start more and more doing videos, especially this year, about explaining things about 3D printing, tips and tricks, and sometimes perhaps going aside of 3D software just to explain more things about the 3D printing by itself, because we love that, then we want to share that. Like I said, I have my YouTube channel, and even if I'm doing reviews, I'm speaking a lot about the 3D printing process. I try to educate. I really love doing tutorials. I did a lot of tutorials for ZBrush, like I said before, and things like that. And I really want to help people moving forward globally, and of course in the 3D printing industry. And this is really our way of thinking. Next, now my personal opinion. Which may be perhaps some harsh at some point. Yes, water washable resin is just a nightmare. It should be forbidden. It's a pain in the whatever you want to say. Exactly. I don't want to have, I mean, your videos having some issues with YouTube.
The podcasts are uncensored, unedited. I do not care. Cuss as much as you want.
Okay. Then yeah, it's not that because it's a good or bad resin by itself. It's more the way it's presented. When you see manufacturers, and for me the problem is coming from here, doing campaigns on social medias or Kickstarters, and you see this kind of IKEA, this Swedish company doing furniture. IKEA. Sorry if it's a French accent. IKEA, IKEA. IKEA.
IKEA.
IKEA, yeah, sorry.
IKEA.
You know the
That's
accent.
how we say it in the States.
Yeah. You know, this type of family looking like that, the blonde girl, the very nice guy, and doing, oh, with my 3D printer, I can do something like that. And the small kid arrive, oh, I want a dinosaur. And then you have the printer in the kitchen next to the oven, and the lady printing something on the iPad for the kid, and then nice print, and the guy smelling the print out of the printer. It smells nothing. And then the lady,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it pisses me off.
You saw the video?
Yeah, I don't want to mention the brand, but I was just, you can't do something like that.
Yep.
Sorry, this is crazy. And the lady just without gloves, nothing, under the tap water, just cleaning the water washable resin. No, this is madness.
I got banned from one of the Elegoo Facebook groups when they were saying that you can get resin exposure and it's totally safe. I said it's not safe, and here's the science behind it. I was banned. I was banned for presenting facts in a very, conscious way. But Facebook is what Facebook is. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I guess that's the community we're going to have. I mean, it is crazy to me. I agree. Water washable resin should not exist. Technically, most resin is reasonably water washable with a little bit of cleaner in there. But like the tough resins like Soraya Blue will not be cleaned in water. You must use alcohol. It will not. But it's awful because people get hurt. And the companies that put out this kind of marketing get away with it because they hide behind God knows what. They hide behind something.
Some manufacturers are doing some kind of greenwashing just because, of course, they want. The problem right now with 3D printers is that people, because this is, you are manipulating chemical products, then people, I don't want to manipulate chemical products. Or because you want to save on IPA, the cost on IPA, then you want to use water. The problem is, IPA, depending on the country, it may be more or less expensive. But, this hobby is not cheap. And when you are ready to spend $200, $300, $500, $600, $1,000 in a 3D printers and $25 to $30 to $35 or $50 for resin, you can spend $5 or $6 for a liter of IPA. I don't know the price in the US, but I'm buying my IPA, even personally, 30 liters by 30 liters. I pay something like roughly $4 per liter, roughly.
Yeah.
Paying the euro.
I think I can get it for less than that, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. And of course, we're using a lot of resin. Then we dispose the good way. The good thing is, at least in France, we have from the city, you have place where you can put your chemical stuff. Then they're able to clean that and deal with that, which is a good thing. But
not here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, not where I live, I guess I should say. I'm sure some states have it. But like what we do, so I don't use alcohol. Sometimes we do for some specific resin, but we use a cleaner called Mean Green. It's water based, but it's got a really strong cleaner in it that does the job pretty darn well. But the trick that I like about it is the resin falls out of solution. The uncured resin falls out of solution. I can cure it inside of the liquid, pump out all the clean liquid. We will then use a container that I will cover with cheesecloth so nothing can get into it outside to evaporate all the fluid. We open it. I'm in Florida. I leave it open for like 10 minutes and the entire thing is cured. And then we dispose of it properly. But a lot of people will just dump the alcohol down the drain. They'll throw it outside in the grass, and it's not okay. It's not okay.
And because these manufacturers, some of them, I don't say all of them, because some of them are very have a very good communication about the resin, the toxicities, and all of that. But some of them, because it's a problem for user to, potential customers to buy a 3D printer because of the chemical aspect, say, no problems, use water washable, it's cheaper, easier, no other stuff. Yeah, it's a way to sell printers, sell materials. And for me, the premise here, because as soon as you explain the way to deal with your chemical stuff, okay, this is not as easy as an FDM printer with PLA filaments and all of that. But at some point, people don't think that, okay, it's better to use an FDM printer. It's not true. In fact, an FDM printer is more toxic than a resin printer because, and you see, I see your Prusa printer in the back. When you are, it's going through the nozzle, you have a lot of micro nano particles, which are not very good for your body. While a 3D printer, while working, it may smell bad, but it's not as risky as an FDM printer. The real risk is more, okay, touching the resin directly. And even that, I had a lot of discussion because I'm preparing a video for my French channel about the toxicity of resin. It's like a lot of detergent, a lot of, like the mint green. If you manipulate a lot of mint green without diluting this product, on the long term, you can have also some allergy or depending of your skin and things like that. Then, and the same with this eco resin with soybean and.
It's so dumb. It's like, oh, it's not oil-based, it's plant-based. I don't care where it comes from. Does it work or not?
Yeah.
And I find the eco resin to be problematic too, just like I find the water washable to be problematic. They split so much easier than regular resin does. But I'm a Soraya-Tech fanboy. They don't pay me to say that. I have no relationship with Soraya-Tech at this time. And it's the only resin that I use because it just works. It just freaking works. And every now and then it goes on pretty good sale. It has always bothered me where people are trying to find the cheapest and not trying to find the best or what's best for them. Like, I need to try Atlas 3D resin. We've had the Atlas crew on many times. I gotta probably do an update with them someday soon, but I gotta try their resin. I've yet to try it and compare it to Soraya-Tech because I hear it's pretty darn good. But it's like, yeah, it's expensive. It's like €60 for 1.5 liters, which is on par with Soraya-Tech. It's basically same kind of pricing, but it's in bags, which is nice for storage for me.
Yeah, we are waiting for this resin. I tried a sample before they even announced the resin, which was very dark at that time, and it was a fantastic resin at that time. But we are still waiting for the final product. I think I ordered some for myself, like something like 14 liters of resin, because we print a lot. Julian also ordered some resin. Alexandre ordered some resin. I mean,
too.
Just personally, also to support Atlas because we really love this team and they're doing a great job. We are working a lot together on multiple projects.
The Athena project, right?
Yeah, also, yeah.
They've shown it off on the podcast. It's not it's not private to this community.
Yeah. We have one at the office also, and it's an interesting project. And about, just to conclude about the resin, because I think we are speaking a lot about resin, but I mean it's a part of what we do. Even myself, sometimes I'm printing with very cheap resin just to test because it's just some testing. But I mean, it's over now. I'm really sticking to better resin. You have less expansion while you are curing, then less elephant foot. It's stronger. I have an example right now. We will release very soon. This is just a part of the project through Mango 3D. This is a kind of, no, sorry. You see, it's a part of a kind of bridge.
Yeah.
This is an arc circle of 1.2 meter, then which is quite large, just to put some LEDs, LED strips LED strips like that to be printed with Lychee Slicer. We will provide the scene files for Lychee ready to be printed. Just for all people doing paintings of miniatures who want to have a kind of even light.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. Because we do that. This is a project that I designed in Fusion 360. And for my French channel, I also provide the full tutorial how to create that from scratch in Fusion 360. But for that, I tried, of course, I did a lot of design, I tried a lot of things. And of course, I tried on multiple printers because one printer was busy, I print another printer, and I have multiple resin. And you really see the difference in terms of strength, deformations, just to handle the white of the wall things. On top, it was just falling like that, or even a kind of wave deformation on this axis, just because, of course, the design was not the best one at the time, but also because the resin was not good. This one is Ceratec, the build, but even the fast one, ABS type, is so much better than cheap one. And in fact, now, when in France, at least, when you want to buy the cheap one, this is in fact the same price as Ceratec when you, let's say, you buy 5 liters of resin. And not worth it buying cheap resin. It's better to buy a brand one.
I totally agree. We touched on the pricing model of Lychee a little bit earlier, that you guys are a subscription service. It's a yearly plan at this point. And you did recently actually have a price increase, right? About a year ago now, right? It's like June or July of last year.
November. In fact, we have a monthly and yearly subscription, which is the same service. But if you want to pay monthly or yearly, of course, yearly is slightly cheaper than the monthly subscription. We changed that a little bit before the Black Friday. In fact, we wanted to do that earlier, but we were late in our development. The thing is, the monthly price is still the same. The thing is, when we launched Lychee Slicer, the third version, Lychee Slicer 3, we did a big discount because we really wanted to start to have a success with the product. Then we really cut the price with a 60% discount on the yearly subscription and 40% on the monthly subscription. And it was for the first year. We wanted to do this discount then for a year, starting from the release of the product, and of course it was for the first year of subscription. I mean, for the first year you have this discount, and when you renew for the second year, then you have the regular price. And we decided, in fact, we let this discount too long. In fact, we decided to stop that, let's say, a year and 4 or 5 months. And in fact, the monthly price didn't change. Originally, the price was €5.99 without taxes, and it's still the same price. But the discount is no more, in fact, because we just have the discount. The yearly, we did the discount was way too much. In fact, that's why now it's more. In fact, you save roughly a month. And the thing is something different, especially for European people. Before, we were taking for us the taxes, the VAT. It was part of the price. Then it was even less money for us. And the law changed in Europe, and we took also several months to apply these new laws, which was not our benefit. And now, of course, if you have taxes, you have to pay these extra taxes like regular products. Then it looks like an increase of price, and we understand it has been felt that way, but it was not really. We just cut a discount, we remove a discount, and the taxes had to be applied. But now if you are in the US, let's say in California, we should charge the Californian taxes, which is something, I think, 10%. If you are in Japan,
it's up there.
Let's say in Japan, you purchase Lychee Slicer, we should also charge. This is also 10% in Japan. We don't do that, but at some point it will arrive because legally speaking, we have to do it. Difficult.
I think the thing is, so much of this community is used to getting everything for free, right? Free open source, that they look at what's out there like, well, I can make this work. Good luck. Here's the deal, community people, everyone listening to this podcast right now, watching it on YouTube and such. 1, like and subscribe. 2, understand that good development costs money. Not only is there quite a few people in the Lychee Slicer team, they're actively hiring. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a bit. It's not free. And yes, it's more money on top of your printer. Oh my God. It's like a liter of decent resin a year. And I promise you will spend more on dealing with crappy software if you don't go with it. And there is a free tier, so use the free tier and decide if you want to pay them some money. It's worth it. It's worth it, seriously. And you just released another higher tier version, correct? That's got better support. It's got some other things. So what are the delineations between the software as of today? And today is April 30th of 2022. It's also my father's birthday, so happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday. Yeah, we have this 3 version. We have the free one. Sorry for the accent for me for saying 3 is a number and free not paying. It's very difficult, and I hope people understand that. The free version of the software, yes, there is an ad that is displayed before exporting or slicing, but except that, you have enough feature for someone starting 3D printing or just being a hobbyist. This is, of course, there is some feature which are not available because they are, of course, part of the pro version, but in fact, for a large part of users, this is way enough.
Yep.
And we don't put feature, let's say, which will be really problematic away from this free version. In fact, you can do everything, and we have a lot of users who are very happy and stay with the free version, and it's fine with us. I mean, it's not a problem with that. Then we have the pro version, which is more designed for users who are, let's say, who want to have a better control of what they're doing. Let's say if you print on a daily basis just pre-supported miniatures, models and design like that, and you don't want to tweak your model more than what is needed, the free version is enough. But if you want to have a better control of what you're doing because you have a better vision of your model, or because you are creating yourself, or you have specific needs, or you want to know where you put your supports to have this post-process being easier because, okay, I want to put my support there because it's easier to cut or to send or whatever, then yes, the pro version is better for you because we have more and more tools, or even productivity tools. We recently added the batch tool.
Yep.
When you have multiple models, you put a bunch of, let's say, STL files, automatically it will just lifting them, finding the islands, following the models, and all of that, and saving that as a scene file. After, you can put all your support and then being ready to export all of that as STL file because you want to release your model because you're, let's say, you are a creator or patron or something like that. Then we have this pro version, of course, without advertising. We have the supports and all of that because the free version, officially, the support is only through the community.
Yep.
The reality that Alexandre is dealing with a lot of people who have the free version as well. And then, yes, we release this premium version, which is the same application. There is no difference. It's more, let's say, services. It's a higher priority support because we have people who are looking for a better, not a better support, but want to have a more reactive support because they are in production or whatever. We also provide for one user, this is very important to specify, more activation of the software. One user is able to have 4 activation because we have more and more users who have a laptop, have a computer at home, one, let's say, in a workshop or 2 in the workshop, and they had to deal with activation, deactivation, and all of that. I specify this is for one user because, of course, we have user, oh, I can share my license with other users. Like you want to share your Netflix subscription with friends and families and stuff like that. No, it's like Netflix. It's for one user, not multiple, let's say, users. And also, we will start very, very soon. We need to announce it now. We will do also some private live stream with premium subscription people to just discuss with them, educating them to Lychee Slicer, 3D printing, having a better support. But this is only services. It's not
Right.
new feature to the application. The Pro will always have all the new features. Premium is only to have these extra services. That's why it's less users who have specific needs. In fact, it's more for most of the users are using the free and the Pro version.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And the price is not all that much more. I mean, you're looking at $5.99 a month versus $9.99 a month, and yearly $65.99 or $109.99. So it's a little bit less than double. However, it's cheaper than Amazon Prime, and you're getting all of the benefits of not only getting one of the best slicers out there for resin, but you're also getting premium support. And I'll tell you, it is the most active Discord that I'm a part of, and I'm a part of a few. And I love it because there are some subject matter experts. There's one or two people that are the support people that are just members of the community that are there helping other members of the community. And I love that about what you guys have created. Your Discord server is very open. It is understanding. I think you guys do a good job policing it, because I don't see a lot of hate come through there, which is always positive.
We don't really moderate. So I'm looking at something on the server, but we don't really moderate our community. This is we almost never delete messages except in the self-promotion, people doing promotion which are not really related to 3D printings or Lychee Slicer. But we have a great community, and you just said the price of the premium version. And in fact, we had some people who told us, oh, I just subscribe to the higher tier, to this premium version, just to support you.
Yep.
And we have people say, oh, the free is enough for me, but I just subscribe to the Pro version because I love your work. I love how you interact with us, and we want to support us. And we are we are very careful about our community. But we really love our community, and I think our community is giving us back all of that, which is amazing, and we are very, very lucky. Right now, we are almost at 7,000 people in our Discord.
Boy, howdy, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's growing quite fast. Yeah, but I mean, it shows also the popularity of our software. Yeah. I can't give you numbers right now, but we are speaking, of course, in hundreds of thousands of users, and it's growing very, very, very fast. And before, yes, we had some competitors, and I think they still have more users than us. But yeah, when you provide the slicer in the USB stick of the 3D printer, it's easier to have more users. But I feel, and what people say, they're coming to the software because they want to use the software, they want to have the control, they like the philosophy that we have, and the software, which is great, and we work very hard to go in this direction. And also they feel that we are users of the software. Like I said before, I feel that I insist on that, but this is the reality. We print, we love printing, we love creativity, we love doing things. And we do software because we want to do software like we want to use it, like real users. And I think people love that. Patrons, creators love that. We can discuss with them. They can discuss with us. I mean, it's back and forth. It's not, okay, we do a business, we put this software there, you can buy it, and we don't care. I mean, we are, to be honest, someone like Alex,
excuse me. God.
Someone like Alexandre is spending, in fact, too much time on Discord. I mean, if I'm looking just straight at a CEO of the company, looking at the money, the expenses, the tasks, and all of that, he spends way too much time in the community. He needs to be more productive in something else. But no, I mean, it's fine, because what he's doing is helping the community, helping the user. It's a real benefit for the company.
You live and die by the community. It's true.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, it makes the community growing, having a better knowledge. This knowledge are sharing that with other people, and it makes this industry growing. We are a small part of that, and I hope we'll be a bigger part over the time. But this is really a way of thinking. We have, this is really this startup nation stuff. We have these values, internal values of the company. The first one, our first value is human. Human for the team itself in the company, because we are humans and we want as much as possible to have our company feeling humans and just not regular employees.
Julian may not be a human. I'm the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But it's quite very important for us. But at the same time, our values is for us as a company, but also for our users. And human, because we are mean, doing something for people that we feel are humans, not, let's say, engineers and someone who need to understand so many things. We need, of course, not everything is perfect, but this is the way, of course, we are heading. And a lot of time in our discussion meetings, we are going back to our own values to say, okay, are we still in these values? Is it really a benefit for these users to master better the 3D printing and all of that? Then it's really, it sounds very marketing thing, but it's really the way we are driving things in the company.
I appreciate this about you guys, right? You are always trying to push for not just what is right for the company, but also what is right for, you know, the community. It's what drew me to the slicer to begin with, right? And I'm curious, right? And this is mildly self-serving, but I'm sure I'm not the only content creator watching this. What are some things that you wish were better, like, pushed out there by content creators, right? So, is there a feature that all of us have just missed, or something that you wish that the community would know more about, but just simply doesn't?
It's a good answer.
Question, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think. In fact, this community resin thing that we released recently, more and more people know about that, but still a lot of people don't even know that they can find this profile in the software, which is the first step that you need to find. Of course, we need perhaps to refine the way you are finding that in the software. Perhaps it's too hidden in the software. But this type of feature is very important because, like I said, this is the first step to go inside. Yeah, okay, Julian, okay.
He said the banana for scale. I know that's in there. I left it out of the video. I'll put it in the next one.
I will speak about that later for the little story, and Julian was totally right on that. But, you know, this type of feature is a benefit for someone starting or switching to another printer or brand, making things easier. But again, it's technical. But yeah, the banana for scale, for people who don't know Lychee Slicer, we have in the export section of the slicer, multiple options to view the 3D model, the scene in multiple ways. And one of them is a scene where you have a mat with gradations on that. You have a can, a lychee cola can, some text that you can read on the back if you want, a pen, and a banana for scale. And this feature was very important because when you prepare your model, it's very difficult to know at which scale is your model. Is it small or big? And especially when you are a creator and sometimes you do something and when you print, this is so small or this is too big, or it's very difficult to have a sense of scale in a 3D environment on a 2D flat screen computer. And Julian said, we need to do a banana for scale. So what if? And I say myself, what is this crap? Why?
It's the internet. It's a thing.
Exactly. And in fact, I was not aware how much banana for scale was this popular. And Julian started to do something, and then we refine all together and say, okay, let's do that. If this is funny, let's do that. Because sometimes we do some joke, even in our announcement. I think at some point I put a Batman mode in the new feature list. And it's nothing. It doesn't exist in the software. But we like to joke. I mean, come on. We have to be funny sometimes.
Yeah.
And in fact, this feature has been so well received by the community and users. A lot of people still don't know about that. But a lot of people, we see screenshot of people, just a screenshot of the scene and the banana for scale. And yeah, we put some joke in this scene, and yeah, it's a hidden feature, but it really helps to understand. And now, also another thing is, now printers are so big, like the Mega 8K, that we have display issues in the banana for scale because of the clipping of the 3D camera that we need to fix all of that. Then yeah, it's
I remember the last video that I did with Lychee, and I could not for the life of me find, I'm like, I know it's in here. I could not find where to render it. So I made a note in the video for the editor. I said, just take the video and rotate it 180 degrees for me right here. And he made a whole joke about it. I got roasted in the comments. It's right there. You're blind. Come on. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even our editor's like, dude, it's right. The button's right there. I can see it while I'm editing. Yeah,
But
I looked at it and said, yep, that'll be it. The next time we use we use it in the video, we're gonna do it.
but you know about returning and things like that. This 3D printer simulator, which is of course different than Banana for Scale.
Yeah.
This is a feature we added because this feature does nothing except showing you the scene in a virtual 3D printer, but like you would print that. Because so many times people, even myself, at some time, if I do how it will appear like that, you're turning your head, and this system helps you. And also, I'm doing a lot of resin labs on my free time, also for Mongo 3D marketing stuff.
Yep.
I did that since a while, in fact, and I've been very happy to see that Uncle Jesse released this resin lab, because it's not that easy, and finding the hardware and all of that. And if you put a slider on top of that, it's a nightmare. And
I saw that video you guys did where you had I think the slider was on a circle of some sort.
no, it's a line. It's a line.
Okay.
It's a line.
God, it looks so good. And that reminds me that my camera is 16 years old and doesn't have that feature. Can't do it. It doesn't work with resin labs. But one day we will do those, and I have a slider to do that kind of work with, and I'm like, oh, I want to do this so bad, because I saw the one that you guys did, and it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, and just doing resin labs, just to have the simulator and see how your model will look inside of the printer. Is the orientation, because sometimes it's better just to flip just 180 degrees, because it looks better for the cameras, and where you will do the focus. Just something like that is very convenient. It's a kind of gadget, but when you have specific needs, you are very happy to have something like that. Then, yeah, and of course we have a lot of features, like when you do supports. People doing manual supports, we have a lot of features which are only accessible through hotkeys, using the Alt key or Control and Alt key or Alt and Shift key, like the continuity mode.
Yep.
A lot of things, and we are lacking of hands right now just to build the content, to explain people
we did a video
better
on it.
To use. Yeah.
Specifically on the custom supports, because it takes a long time. I still haven't gotten fast at it. But it reduces, like, it cut my support usage by 80%. And I'm still able to support everything that's needed, and little tiny islands that I don't want to have a big, dot at. We can use a mini support. It's great.
Yeah, but in fact, I anticipated this question. If you don't mind, if you want to see my screen, if you can share my screen, because I have a very specific comment about islands. And I don't know if it will help people, because I have, just before switching, to the camera, I don't know if you will see that. Okay, can you do the focus?
Let's get it to focus. There it is.
Yeah, like that. This is a part, perhaps you saw this monkey smoking a pipe, and and this is a part of it. And it's a great design by Martin Verheven, which is a great Belgian artist. And it's a lot of islands everywhere, really. And I print that on the Mini 8K at 25 microns for the vertical resolution. And as a reminder, the horizontal resolution is 22 microns. Then this is roughly 25 microns voxels. Then it's very, very small.
Gosh.
And okay, let me share my screen right now.
Sure.
If I can. Okay, let me know if you see my screen.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, and you see this model, which has a lot of islands. It has roughly 558 islands.
That's only a few. It's fine.
Yeah, and if you look on the back, this is all the islands that you have.
Right.
This is quite a lot. Do you imagine yourself adding all these supports, these mini supports everywhere?
No, I would simply say I'm not printing this part and move on. I'd give up.
In fact, you can. I print this model exactly like that. This is the final model. I didn't support all these islands. The thing is, a lot of people say, oh, there is an island, I must support this island. And if you look at the clipping bar, let's say I'm going at, okay, this way. Sorry, this computer is not powerful at all, and perhaps it will lag a little bit. you see, I have all these islands, and if I move up and down my clipping bar, you see, I have this island, and then you have there, you see, all these small islands which appears and which need to be supported. And after, in fact, let me just go back. Just look at my cursor there. Then this island supports, start here. 1 layer, 2 layers, 3, 4. And at the 5th layer, it connects to the model. 5 layers at 25 microns. It's 125 macrons thickness before it connects. Whatever the support that you will put on that, the tip will be anyway bigger than the island itself. And when you print that, and in fact, we try to release an article about that, showing before and after, explaining something like that. You see, but when I'm speaking about education, because when you compare the print with, sorry, it's very small on the camera right now, but I did both of them. You don't see with your naked eyes the difference when you put support, because I did this model with all the supports.
Right.
You don't see the difference with and without. You only see the difference is where you put supports, because you have little bit of bumps of course, the tip that left some artifacts, some how can I say that? When you remove the support, even if you clean that perfectly, you still have some small
there's no way to get it perfect.
Exactly. And in fact, the model without the support looks better than the one when you put support. And so many times I see models which are supported. I will just stop sharing my screen. You don't need to support all the islands. And you see, it's not a feature on Lychee Slicer, or perhaps we need to add a feature to say, oh, this one, okay, if you want to support this island, you can do it, but perhaps it's not a good idea to support this one. And I see sometimes people doing so many supports, in fact, for nothing, because at the end, it's not visible, because you don't have also a sense of the scale. Because you see, I did the count of how many layers, 5 layers by 25 microns. It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's not going to matter. It will not matter. I have a problem sometimes with the islands, because I'm neurotic. But then sometimes I'm like, all right, this one's gonna suck. I'll finish it in UV tools, and then I'll open it in UV tools. I'll find the island, and I'll just draw pixels to connect it to the base. But you're not gonna see it anyways.
Exactly, but for a model like that, you can do that, but you will spend hours in UV tools, because you want to fix that, but there is no need, in fact. And by the way, you mentioned multiple types UV tools. Thiago, the guy behind that, is doing an amazing job. UV tools, that's why we have this direct connection with the software after you slice. It's an amazing tool. This guy is amazing. And it's really, a lot of people multiple times ask us, why you don't add something like that in Lychee Slicer like you have in UV tools? Why you don't add this feature to clean our stuff? We don't want to do that, because it's already a great software. It's better to have people using UV tools and supporting the development at some point. Then
my only complaint about UV tools, and it's a dumb complaint, they update it so freaking often that every single time I open it, I have to close it because I have to download a freaking update. That's a first world problem level of complaint. But gosh, it has gotten its UI changed maybe, I would say 3 or 4 iterations ago, but that was last week, so it could be 15 iterations ago by now. And I think it got a lot better. And I kind of agree with the community, like, why don't you do it yourself? But I also see the crazy value in not having to support all of that crap, and now that's Shadow's problem and not yours. I think there's a lot of value in that. Because I know previously the model fixing was kind of broken. You had to somehow put it in with Microsoft and 3D Builder, and now it's all internal again, right? Because mine just started working again with the latest 3.7 update. And I was happy to see that.
It was 3.6.
Huge.
That was
huge work to have this.
Really? Because it's not an easy development. In fact, Well, if you have a cube and you have a vertex which is not welded, it's fine. But when you have now models coming, let's say from ZBrush, which has been decimated and whatever brain operation and all this mess, which sometimes are have a lot of polygons, fixing some model is very, very challenging.
Yeah.
And when you see that even software like NetFab, which is really a specialized software in that, doing a very fantastic job, is not even able to fix a model, that's challenging. And they spend years on that. Yes, at the beginning, we relied, in fact, on NetFab Online,
Yep.
which is a product from Autodesk. And one day they decided to just shut down the service because they merged, I would say, in fact, the fixing tools in Fusion 360. Then you can still fix, you can download Fusion 360 for free. You have the starter license, which is free, and you can fix your model, but you need to know, etc., etc. But for us, it was a problem because we stopped, of course, one day, one day it was working fine, the next day, no tools anymore, no way to fixing the problem. And a lot of models are broken for 3D printing, a lot. And for resin printing, our process is really pixel-based in terms of technical aspects. The pipeline inside of Lychee Slicer is from the beginning to the end based on pixels. Other slicer mainly are doing a kind of vectorization, like in Illustrator or stuff like that. They are doing outline in vectors, which is mathematical. It's just curves and things like that. So the problem is you are losing accuracy because you are converting. If you want to do conversion from Photoshop to Illustrator or Pixel to vector, you are losing a little bit of accuracy. And then at the end, when you switch back from this vector to pixel that you want to have your printer printing, you are converting again from vectors to pixel, and you can use also a little bit of accuracy at that time. Then this is a difference also with Lychee Slicer, that we are very, very accurate in terms of technology inside pixels and all of that. But all of that, I forgot what I wanted to say. I switched to speaking about
going after the cleaning.
And of course, there is more and more models which are very, very complex. And because of this pipeline, we need to have very clean models in terms of structure. If there is some small holes, it can be a problem. And sometimes when people saying, "Oh, I don't understand why my model have way more supports than I design." Why? Because our model have a lot of small holes. And for the software, this is an opening, and the software trying to continue printing, creating like it's not closed, and create this type of shape which go down. A lot of people are doing user errors because a model, even if they are in red in the software, we have flags saying, "Oh, your model has errors." People still print and they have issues. Then we had to do a new development from scratch, fixing the models, which has been very challenging, which took way more time than we've been expecting to do. And yeah, now it's working fine. And if some models can be fixed, it's because the model has real issues. And at some point, it's not anymore a slicer problem. It's more a design problem. Right. Difficult to tell to people, to be honest. But if we can't fix that, you need to use very specific software to fix, like NetFab, like I said. But yeah, most of the time, our tools is way enough. But it's been, quite problematic.
I still have my old installation of NetFab, like proper old, and it still works.
Yeah, but you have to know that NetFab, you can download the trial version of NetFab Premium, Ultimate, whatever the version, which is very expensive. And at the end of the trial period, it still works to import your STL, fixing them and exporting them. You are losing some fixing features, but you can still use NetFab as a standard application to fix your STL. I'm still using some time also NetFab on my end.
I don't have too much experience with it. I've been in this industry a while, but ZBrush is one of those programs that I looked at it. It took me like 15 minutes to find file, because for those that don't know, ZBrush, in all of their great UI and UX, have decided that the menus are going to be in alphabetical order. So it is not file in the top right, it's alpha. And file is somewhere in the middle, because they can. And it's it's different to say the least. Pixelogic, of course, sold. to a different company. So now ZBrush is under, it's a different company now, I believe.
Maxon.
Maxim, right? Something like that.
Maxon, yes, are the developers of Cinema 4D, which is a 3D application suite, a competitor to Maya, 3D Studio Max, Blender, and so on. They have also a rendering engine and other tools. And yes, it just acquires the all the assets of Pixologic, mainly ZBrush and the team.
Be curious to see how ZBrush does moving forward with a completely different management, but you know, that's kind of the way that it goes.
Yeah.
We had mentioned a couple of times previously that, you know, Mango 3D is hiring. What are you all looking for in a future staff member? Because maybe they're watching this. It is not the first time that this podcast would have potentially gotten somebody a job. So I'd be curious to know what you're looking for.
Yeah, we are looking at totally different, let's say, positions. I have to say that it's to work in France than if there is some French people. Obviously, in the future, we will expand in other countries and probably in the US, because a big part of our market is in the US. But for now, it's, of course, we have to position for developers, a 3D developer, really working on algorithm, managing, I mean, being able to swim in polygons and all of that. We have a developer which is more a front developer to do integration for a lot of things, for UI, for design, and for project I can't speak about. I'm sorry about that. And then we are looking for a marketing position, community management, and all of that, because we need to be, like I said, more and more in contact with the community. And also, like, you know, there is community. We have our own community of Facebook group and social medias, but there is so many Facebook groups about 3D printing. People are speaking about Lychee Slicer, other thing that we need to have more and more people. And of course, we need to do more and more marketing, obviously. And the last one is more an office manager position, just to help me, because I need to find more time to do product development, not a developer, but features, design, and all of that, working with Alexandre and all of that, and doing less, let's say, administrative stuff, because it takes me so much time, and I prefer doing product development and marketing than doing just admin stuff. And yeah, it's 4 positions right now, and obviously before the end of the year we may open more positions, also many in development. Then yeah, we are a growing company. We are more and more, because we have very nice projects in the future. And yeah, and also the success of Lychee make that okay, we need more hands, because yeah, we have more things to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that there's a lot of benefit into saying we have a roadmap that is going to require us to get more people, right? That's good, because I would hope you guys are growing. I mean, I'm seeing the resin 3D printing industry, quite frankly, explode in popularity. And I'm hoping that is seeing similar movements for you guys in terms of subscriptions, free and paid. But, you know, my hope, of course, is to do paid. Is there an option if people wanted to just do a one-time donation to you guys for support? Is that something that's available?
No, but multiple times people ask us, do we have this option? The thing is, yeah, it could be fun. Perhaps it would be something like $1 for a coffee or something like that. But yeah, I mean, as a company, it's weird that, okay, you can do donation to a company. It's difficult, in fact, to accept something like that as a company.
Can we put donations toward Julian's Laser Fund?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not a matter of money, because we have a budget for things like that. In fact, in our expenses, we have a budget for this type of things.
Right.
Because yeah, we need to buy creative stuff and all of that. But no, for us, the most important, I would say, is to having people using our software, and obviously if they can subscribe, because this is our only stream of revenue, to be transparent with that.
Right.
Because yeah, we need to pay the salaries and like I said, the bill at the beginning. This is the reality of business. Unfortunately, people, and I understand that people say, I prefer to buy a one-time license. I understand, but before software, we are doing upgrades, let's say once a year. At some before it happened that we released 4 versions in a month, and with quite significant new improvement or features and things like that. And we really don't want to stop. And for us, having this stream of revenue as a subscription, making us able to release when we want a new version, a new feature, whatever, it's a small or a big features and things like that. Then having a way to support the team in another way would be great, just for the moral. Sorry. I don't say that in English. Sorry?
Morale. That's morale. I think that seems right to me.
Yeah, just to making the team happy. Okay, we recognize that you're doing a great job. Okay, buy a coffee, buy a beer, or whatever. Yeah, we can do something like that. But yeah, it's and very frankly, the thing is, I don't know in a type of in an accounting point of view, I don't know how to deal with that. My accountant will say, what is it? It's a donation. Yeah, but you're a company. Yeah, but it's just to buy a beer. It's anyway.
I understand. I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah, I've loved what you guys have been doing. Now I do my best to keep up with the Discord, but gosh, there are some nights where I'll wake up in the morning, there's like, oh, there's 300 new messages. I'm like, I am not going to realistically read all of these. So we're just going to mark as read, scroll to the bottom, and just kind of pick up from there. But that proves to me that there's so much coming out of the community. I love that you guys do I'm going to put quotes over private beta, because it's private to the Discord server, but the Discord server is public.
Yeah.
Where you are somewhat able to control kind of who gets it and the feedback that comes from it. Is there anything coming up, maybe a big release or something that you guys could talk about, maybe hint a little bit here, or nothing you want to hint about while we're here?
I can say that we are working on something big, very big, which will be which is very important for us. Unfortunately, I can't tell you that for multiple reasons. First, competition, obviously. The second one is we want to be sure to be ready when it will be ready. Obviously, we will do perhaps beta version like we did before, because having the feedback of the community, like I said, is always great. Then it's great having them being part of the development by itself. But okay, we will release that soon. Before the summer, hopefully. But yeah, we don't really know. Perhaps something can come in. It's development is like that because business can be like that. Like I said before, a new product or whatever. Then we hope we will have a very good feedback on that. And we have another project more for the end of the year, which is even bigger. It's very difficult for us to stop. Then it's a lot of projects, and like I said at the beginning, we are night owls, because just working hours are way not enough to do what we have to do. And yes, we need to have more people, but like I said, we need to pay these people. Then it's always like I said, jungling with multiple things at the same time, which is, I have to say, amazing at the same time. We are working in something we love, with people who love what we are doing, in a crazy industry where you can build things which can come from your head. You can print that and you manipulate that. I mean, this is amazing. And we sort of potential to having more and more people coming in this industry and doing new stuff. We see that every day. There are people discovering 3D printing. Then we want to be part on that. And at the end, what we want to do is to rule the world. Nothing else.
That's a very easy to hit target. Best of luck to you. I guess I'm curious to, how can the community help you guys get more users? How can we, as the users, as the community, help you do what you do better, right? Is there something you wish the community would do to help you? I don't know. I'm sure one of it is, don't always complain about things. Tell us when we're doing things right. That might be useful every now and then. But is there anything more that the community could tell you that would assist in what you're doing?
Tag us on social media.
More social media.
We need to grow on social media like Instagram, TikTok. We need to start on TikTok, but we need someone to manage this. But already tagging us on social media, share your projects, and it's already big, and share with other people around you, and spreading the love for Lychee Slicer.
So it goes the same direction as Alexandre just said, that people showing what they are doing with Lychee Slicer is indirect, let's say, advertising, of course, for the software. Right now, the thing that we see way too often is people, if I knew Lychee Slicer was existing before, I would have jumped before in the software. A lot of people don't even know about Lychee Slicer. Of course, this is our job on a marketing point of view to do more content and do more advertising. Right. But the best advertising is when people share what they are doing and saying, this is the best thing. I mean, okay, this is my slicer. This is the one I use. This is why you want to use it. This is the best thing, because when we see people explaining to others, okay, you need to use that because it's working like that and it's a benefit or whatever, this is the best motivation, or one of the best motivation, because, okay, we're doing a job that people really like that and they can help other people. Like we said, we want to have this business growing, more and more people making discover. Then the best help is having people helping other people about our software and making that more visible. And not even speaking about, okay, buy a subscription. No, just the free version is way enough for us to see, okay, this is a great help. And of course, like Alexandre said, just showing their print. We are very happy to see when people are doing printing, but also when people are not happy with something. Yep. We understand that people can complain about something. We are not perfect. We try to be perfect, but quite difficult. But when people say, hey, something is wrong, renting is fine, but like I said, most of the time, justify, be constructive, explain why you have a problem. Just, this is shit. I understand that sometimes you fail to print. Okay, but is it our software? Is it a user error? This is something different. This is a bug.
A user error.
Yeah, but okay, sometimes we have bugs. Come on.
Your mono screen does not need 8 seconds of exposure. I'm looking at you, Elegoo, because you put that shit on the bottles.
Yeah, but also something different, which we have solutions to fix user errors. After, is it our priority or not? Because it can take time to define better UX or UI and things like that. As an example, now we have a warning when people enter 0.25 microns and not millimeters or something. Just doing
hey, are you sure you want to do this? This gonna take a while.
Exactly. But you say people, I don't understand. My print is taking 40 hours to print something like that. Yeah, but even we put warning, it's in red. People don't even read. And that's a problem, because like everyone now, we are used to scroll on your cell phone on social media. You want to be to go as fast as possible. Then something to help us is to read when we put error messages or information and things like that. So this is a joke, because even ourselves sometimes we go fast on something and we don't read. I mean, this is again human.
Yep.
And we understand that.
And guys, I love what you're doing. I do. I think that what you're doing is crazy awesome. It has enabled my business to start offering resin where I can confidently say it's got like a 90% success rate, because the other 10% is because something stupid happened, right? It's never the software. It's always me. It's always, the resin. I forgot to mix the resin and the printer's been sitting for 3 weeks. That's my fault, not your fault. And I love seeing everything come down the pipe, and I'm excited, and thank you all so much for taking time to hang out here. Is there anything that you wanna close out off with? Any pieces of advice, anything like that?
On my end is enjoy 3D printing. This is a fantastic, like I said, industry and things to do, and I think it's not worth just being unhappy about a print which failed. Understand why it failed, grow with this industry, and I think it will be a benefit for someone doing this type of effort. And it's not related to the business. I'm really speaking as myself, as a user. Now we are very lucky to have so many communities, so many Facebook groups, YouTubers, people like you explaining things, sharing all of that. And by the way, subscribe to the channel, obviously. And yeah, it's some people it's a business, but a lot of people this is just a hobby. And this is important as a hobby to enjoy what you are doing. And we really hope that we'll help people to enjoy even better their hobby over the time with things which are easier to do, faster to do, because we know that preparing a model is boring, annoying. What people want to do is to assemble, painting, and or just doing business. And we really want to work on that. But don't forget that, okay, there is so many crap around the world right now, and people think like that. And okay, enjoy.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys again so much for your time.
Thanks to you too.
Yeah, my regular outro will do it here is stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. And use Lychee Slicer, damn it.
Thanks.
Season 2, episode 34.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later. Take care.